Those who know better bathi akekho umuntu eyingozi empilweni njengalo muntu lo okwaziyo. And kodwa ke laba abazi kangcono kangconywana abazi kakhulu kunalabo abanye bathi oyinkinga kakhulu ulo ongazi wena ukuthi uyakwazi kodwa yena bekwazi. Ungcono lo okwaziyo nawe umaziyo. Kodwa lo inkinga kakhulu yilo okwaziyo wena ungazi ukuthi uyakwazi. Because the day nihlangana and the day you meet, when you'll be thinking that you are meeting a complete stranger and you are meeting with someone owazi likhulu ngawe. That's why abafundile and silungu siqhubeka sithi be kind to people and be kind to one another. Siqhubeka futhi silungu sithini sithi knowledge is power, because the power in the knowledge, wazi ukuthi umuntu uyakwazi uzoba careful ekutheni umthetha kanjani and wenzani nalowo muntu and umvezelani lowo muntu, because knowledge is power. That's why even today we're coming to give you the knowledge and the power. Igama lami uSizwe wakamkhize aka Khabavovo Ivovelihle the picture kupela. Welcome to Khabavovo YouTube channel. This is a show you will talk, the show where we talk about everything else and we leave nothing unattended. Even on this day, sisho like we said emaviki nadlulile sithi babiza bonke bazobana senzani. Call your friends, call your uncle, call your friends, your family members, totally your phone, mabaze, send them WhatsApp, send them a message, call them, do whatever that it takes, and ask them to tune in on Khabavovo YouTube channel, because that is where informative things are happening. That is where legal talk and conversation is at today. Because I'm having with my main man, my brother Kruto, Peace Masanya, attorney of Masanya Attorneys, taking us through kulento ye-contract. Ivovokele lisengenile uyazi izovova masifikile selingenile lihambe lodwa lihamba lento evutshelwe sithi wozuyizwele ngoba asifuni uzwe ngabantu bazokutshela manga. Wozuyizwele, and make sure that you do subscribe and you like and share so that you won't miss anything of Ivovo Talk and lento evutshelwe elethwa Ivovo to you. So thank you so much to those that have subscribed in the past week into our channel, and to those who are continuing supporting us and that have been with us since the beginning of this channel. We really salute you and honor you. Your time matters to us. Data lakho libalulekile to us. Ivovo lento sifikile kaMandla Nkosi Ngane and insizwa yaseMdilova ethi imibona intombi ithi awududla intombi uyangifaka noma uyangikhipha, ithi intombazane ngiyakhipha. Ngithi awu suka Nkosi yami ngiyajabula ngikhipha uhluphekeni wangifaka uthandweni wangifaka untofo ey'ntweni ezimnandi. Njenganamhlanje ke last week besikufaka ku-contract, today siyakhipha. Kodwa ke i-choice yakho ukuthi ufuna uhlala kwi-contract noma ufuna ukuphuma. But today we are here to help you ukuthi last week as we helped you ukuthi ungena kanjani uhlala kanjani, today we're helping you ukuthi if ufuna ukuphuma, what do you do? Because most of you are frustrated and are stuck in this thing of called contract. But hey, worry no more, because you're over here with my main man Masanya to help you and take you through this and make sure that your life becomes the best that you can be. We'll share a verse, and from there we're going to go straight to the topic. It's our feet. Welcome back. Happy Sunday to you. It is a Sunday, the 30th of January 2022. I am your boy Khabavovo, aka Ivovelihle. The page here Kubele. You're tuning in into Khabavovo YouTube channel. This is a show, Ivovo Talk, where we talk about everything else and we leave nothing unattended. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. Mudima wete handle autonolofate ukule ungakokobi. And if you are semanzini and you've lost a loved one, condolences to you. As Ivovo Talk, we are sending our heartfelt condolences to you and saying may the good Lord strengthen you throughout this time, and that kuzodlula with time and you will heal. Take it easy and make sure that you mourn and you do everything that you have supposed to do throughout the healing process, because it is important for you to heal. And if you're going through a hard time and in Andwana and we're not alone, Sisonke, that's why I always say I do have your back. You don't have to do this life alone, and while I'm still there, you don't have to take your life away. Kuzolunga, kuzodlula. Just be strong, keep on praying, reach out to someone will be there to hear you and help you out. It's in and from then we're gonna shoot straight to the topic of today, and also with regard to getting out of the contract if you want to. The first verse is found in the book of Matthew chapter 5 verse 37. Matthew 5 verse 37 reads as follows: let what you say be simply yes or no, Anything more than that, this comes from evil. Matthew 5 verse 37. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. The second verse is found in the book of Colossians 2 verse 14. It says, by cancelling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands, this he set aside, nailing it to the cross. Colossians 2 verse 14. By cancelling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands, this he set aside, nailing it to the cross. If Valento, this is If Talk, this is a show, If Talk, cover of a YouTube channel we tune into. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your time really matters to us. Stay with us. We're going to get to the topic of today, and we're going to say happy Sunday to you.
This is Kabavovo YouTube channel, your home of the Son of Hope. You don't have to do this life alone, because your boy Kabavovo, aka Ivovo, Elite, the Big G at Gobela, got your back. On Ivovo Talk every Sunday morning on this channel, Kabavovo YouTube channel.
Welcome back. Happy Sunday to you. It is a Sunday, the 30th of Jan 2022. I am your boy Kabavovo, aka Vavelishe. This is Kabavovo YouTube channel, and this is the show Ivovo Talk. The show we talk about everything else and we leave nothing unattended. Even today, I'm still rolling, taking from where we left off last week. I'm still rolling with my main man, brother Peace, Kuto Peace Masanya, aka Masanya. What am I?
That's right, my brother. Are you well?
I'm good.
100%.
Thank you so much for being here this morning again. Your time really matters to us, and I really do appreciate you. And I really worried a bit, but I'm happy that you're here in the building. Masanya in the building. Give a round of applause to our main man. I hope you did learn a lot last week, and hopefully today you're gonna learn even more and more. But just to give you a recap of what we are talking about, and from last week, if you did miss it, take a look at this, but make sure that you do subscribe so that you won't miss anything else. Take a look at this quickly, and we'll take it from there. What can be made legal?
If an agreement is legal, it means it's an agreement that complies with the terms and conditions that makes an agreement binding, right? If you have an agreement which is not legal, I'm not sure whether we'll be talking about an agreement. But if you agree and you show in good faith that you want to be bound by that which you agreed with, then we say you have concluded a contract.
I hope you did see that, and if you did miss the last week's show, and today you're having a clear, a bit of a clear understanding of what we're on about. And as I'm sitting with this gentleman here in the studio. My brother.
Yes. Yeah.
Last week, to putting our viewers and helping them to Besbafar to the Ravanza, as we're talking about cancelling of the contract. Usually what makes people to find themselves in a space of wanting to cancel a contract?
Yeah, before that, let's understand there's this thing called cancel culture these days. Do you know cancel culture? Cancel culture. You want to put it into contract law. Yeah. So basically, cancellation of a contract. It's the same meaning as cancel culture. You basically cancel. The question is whether you are entitled to cancel or not. Whether you are rightfully cancelling the contract or not. So I think if we start from there, then we can progress, stage by stage, up until we say, look, this is the wrong cancellation, this is the right cancellation.
But what usually makes people decide to say, I don't want this, I want to cancel this?
Remember, when you cancel a contract, you would have concluded it with a view of seeing it to the end, right? So you go into a contract, the idea is I'm going to give, in our previous example, ABC to X, right? Along the way, you say, no, crap, I'm not giving ABC that which I promised to give you. I want out. Or you say, this contract, it's not good for me. Or I'm simply making a loss from this contract.
Okay.
Or this contract actually is drawn against me. I stand to lose more than the other guy. So what do? You start sniffing around. How do I climb out of the contract? Then you're talking about cancellation. Remember, if the contract runs through to the end, when you and I are inside that contract and both of us perform in terms of that contract, you're basically running the lifespan of the contract, and when you get to the end, you're talking termination, no longer cancellation. Right?
Can you repeat that last part and look at someone at home there? I think that is the most important part, and I think it can confuse people.
All right. Let's put it this way. You've got a contract. Contract has got a lifespan. If a contract runs its lifespan, in other words, within the contract, all the parties perform in accordance with the terms and conditions of the contract. When the term of that contract ends, in other words, when the lifespan of that contract expires, you are not cancelling the contract, it's a termination of the contract. It has lived its life, everybody has done all what they said they would do in terms of the contract. Cancellation, you've got a situation where one party says, no, I'm not going to see through this contract, I'm not going to run with this contract until it ends, I want out. So X will say, no, I'm pulling out for whatever reason. But again, remember, you will not have a wide net to say, in as much as I signed the agreement, in as much as I'm bound by the agreement, I'm going to walk out of it. You would need to understand that you are bound by the terms and conditions of the contract. You are not in principle entitled to pull out of the contract. You use the word keep, eh? Yeah, so you can't be keepered. You can't be keepered out of the contract.
We have father and keep.
Exactly. So the long and the short is that if you are to come out of the contract, it's because you have read the contract, you have understood the contract, and then you're looking into, other people call them the escape clauses that make you rely on them when you want to cancel. Other people look into what fault can be attributed to the other person in terms of the contract, and they use that and claim that fault as if it's a breach. Other people just, in the circumstances where a contract has been breached, in other words, one party has done something, we mentioned it last week, exactly the opposite as a specific term. And if you guys know, but Chief, if you messed up in terms of condition 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the contract, I've got the right to climb out of the contract and then they cancel. Of course, remember last week, we talked about a notice to cancel. A process must be followed. You can't just jump out because someone has done wrong. You must give proper notice, all of those things. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that clarification, my brother. Mugel Lapekai, I just want to mention to you that this is not a legal advice. It is a legal conversation between Kabavo that knows nothing about legal and Brake Kuto Peace Masenya, aka Masenya, that knows and practice legal, informing me, and while you're also picking a bit there at home. So you cannot use what we're talking about here in court and say, the man said, or those guys said. But however, I hope whatever that you say, it is helping you. Stay with us as we continue with this thing. Melt, sure. Maybe you've answered this before, but this is a critical one because it's going to kind of like put you in a corner, but I've cleared you. That's why I said that. Can someone cancel a contract? Yes or no?
First, let's correct you. We practice law. We'll practice it until the end, so we'll never get it right. Right?
Okay.
If you go to court,
Yeah.
you'll see a presiding officer, a judge, or a magistrate.
Yeah.
They read the books all the time. They read the same sections all the time. And even if you find a judge sitting there, or a magistrate, or whoever that's presiding, he's likely to read the same section he has read yesterday, a day before,
and interpret it differently.
Because you'll never have the same set of facts, although you've got one set of law or rules, if you like.
Basically, it's like a Bible. I will use one verse and preach it differently all the time.
If you're talking Revelation, yes, but in this context, you're talking interpretation. You're talking peculiar facts to that section. There is no
Peculiar facts.
There is no set of facts that are similar to any. No case is the same to the other. All right. So, as much as if you want to cancel, if a person wants to cancel, he can't cancel the same way as I've cancelled a contract, because the two are not the same. Your contract is never going to be the same with another man's contract. Unless you're talking one of those standard lease agreements and this and that. But generally, if you're talking most commercial contracts, they will always be different. And the question is, can someone cancel a contract? Number one, you've got to understand the contract that you've concluded, right? Number two, you've got to understand the cancellation clauses if they are provided for in the contract. Remember, standard, all contracts would have cancellation clauses. All contracts will tell you when and how to cancel the contract. All contracts will tell you what steps to take if you want to cancel the contract. Right? So whether a person can cancel the contract, the question is, well, first a person must want to cancel the contract. Right? So a person wanting to cancel the contract must first give a notice to the other guy that, Chief, I want to cancel. Far before you get to your question of whether this person is correctly going to cancel or not, you must say, listen, Yamrela, I want out of this contract. Regardless of what the other guy says, maybe the other guy is going to say, no, Chief, Wakula, you can't back out. This guy would say, no, but I've given you notice. You said I can't.
I've abide with the terms and conditions.
And then the matter runs through a dispute process. If it's one of those that have dispute process, you know what a dispute process is. In other words, some contracts will say before you go to court, you must first run a resolution process of some sort, either a mediation, arbitration, or things like those. So in those instances, a person wanting to cancel will not be entitled to go straight to court for the first time. He must first exhaust the provided regulations in terms of first resolving the matter between themselves, either mediation, arbitration, or whatever. Failing which, then they can go to court. So many a times people would overlook, I'm talking about people wanting to cancel, they would overlook a clause that says, in the event of a dispute, remember, in simple terms, a dispute in this case would be what we said earlier on. I want to cancel, you say, no, you can't cancel because, there is no breach or there is no complying with one or two terms of the condition, things like those. When you have a dispute and you say, no, this is it for me, I want to cancel, I'm tired, then, only then, you go and mediate or arbitrate before you go to court. But if your contract is now, it's one of those that don't even provide for...
When you say arbitrate, what is that?
It's like mediate, but it's another level. mediation is like you and I, we're talking, we're trying
Sure.
to resolve the issue. Arbitration, we're getting someone to sit and listen and make a ruling
Okay.
about our dispute.
Okay.
So I don't know what best example I can give.
No.
You
Got it.
understand?
Got it.
Cool.
Got it.
So you've got mediation, arbitration if it's provided for
Mm-hmm.
in the contract, or you can go straight to court and buy notice to the other guy that, look, I want to come out of the contract because you have offended 1, 2, 3, 4 terms of the contract. The minute you offend any of those terms, the other guy has a right to cancel but must first notify you.
Mugel Lapika, you see how the game is played in court by these learned friends of ours. I asked this guy, can someone cancel a contract, yes or no? And he didn't give me yes or no, but he answered. But what I like about that is he just took me straight to our next point, of which was the process and the procedure of cancelling the contract. Is there anything that you want to add in whatever?
Yeah, man, you can't take a guy who's going to church and say, let's share something about law.
Okay.
That's a big problem, and that's why I may not be here next week for that reason, you see. Because I want to go to church. You put me in a contract, a court environment.
That's what friends are for, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But again, we need to share what we know, help somebody, chilling home. Tomorrow you might have a contract, you might want to climb out of the contract. You may not know what to do. First thing, know the contract. Second thing, go and read cancellation clauses or termination clauses. Comply with them. If you don't, you go get banned in court.
Cost implications of cancelling what?
When you have a contract and you're cancelling it, if you're cancelling the contract and the reason why you're cancelling the contract is not provided for in the contract, you're going to have damages against you. Damages means they will sue you for cancelling the contract prematurely, because that cancellation would be unlawful in terms of what is provided for in the contract. So if you're talking about a cost, what it will cost you, we're just looking at a person who is cancelling, right? That person, first of all, stand a risk to be sued for losses that the other person may suffer because of his early cancellation of the contract. So you and I have a contract. In terms of the contract, you supply milli-meal at the cost of 5 rand a bag. You supply them monthly. We have an agreement. If the contract is provides for a lifespan of 12 months, and I cancel it before the end of 12 months, you might say, but no, Chief, in terms of this contract, I was supposed to make so much based on the deal that you and I have, and I'm no longer going to make that much because of you. So when you are cancelling, you're likely to sit with someone else quantifying their loss and say, this amount represents what I would have made if the contract had lived its life. So let's leave the damages now. You understand the damages? So secondly, obviously it's going to cost you money. We charge money unless you can cancel it on your own. If you don't care about losing anything, then cancel it and then you lose everything. Simple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if you want to mitigate your risk in climbing out of the contract, it's going to cost you legal fees. Because we are the guys who look into the cancellation clauses, interpret them, and work with them.
And tell you if, Chief, you're going to lose more here or you're going to save, or is it make sense or not?
We basically sell you the best way to come out of the contract. whether right or wrong is something else.
Yes, yeah.
But we sell you a mitigated way out. Yeah, simple.
Just briefly before we break now, when you're talking about suing,
Yeah.
because I always hearing people close sue. When you're talking about suing, is there a limit of an amount or cost, or someone can just decide in give it 5 million or give it 10 million,
Yeah.
and I get it, or is there a certain what you call limit or
Yeah. Remember, when you sue, you're looking for what you lost.
okay?
All right. Let's try to put it in context.
Mm.
If you sue out of a contract, you're looking for what you lost. But let's say you sue somebody for something unrelated to the contract. Okay, you walk out of here with the car, someone bumps you, you'll sue for the damages that the car, fair and reasonable cost of repairs. That's visible. Let's say someone says, hey, Kababobo, you are XYZ, and you feel offended and you're defamed, you could sue. Well, those are three different scenarios, right? Whether you just go willy-nilly and say, I'm going to sue for 10 million, the answer is no. In the first scenario of the motor vehicle accident, you'll have to quantify the damages. You got the guy who says, I'm a guy who can fix the cars, I'm a mechanic, these are my qualifications. That guy do an affidavit and say, okay, it's going to cost you 20. So in that case, you can't say that, look, I'm going to sue for 50, because the only document that you have says the cost of repairs for the car is 20. Defamation suits, you had of late, one celebrity, I think she sued for 500,000. Sued some guy running a podcast, 500,000, and the judge said no, but you've got a case, but not a case that justifies 500k. I'll give you 300k. Because it is based on the reputation of that particular person. In other words, there was an assessment of the value attached to the name of that person. If they sue you for 500k, you might get 50k, or you might get $1 million. So you will not have a net to say you can sue for minimum or for maximum. If you sue Masenya, for instance, and you lose, you pay. If you're going to sue somebody, you must make sure that you will win against them, because then if you lose, well, your problems have doubled.
Hey, selectors, no. We're gonna take a short break. So and we'll be right back. I hope you're learning and catching something there. So the couple is also in a short while and say happy Sunday to you. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Marriage. Of course, marriage is not your normal bump and face kind of relationship. It brings both excitement and disappointments. If you find yourself married in community of property and often delayed in your business transactions and dealings, worry no more. Because Masenya Attorneys uses the law to help you change from in community of property to out of community of property and vice versa. Call Masenya Attorneys today on 084 383 7747. We will sort you out with a high court application, and of course you get to keep your spouse. That's Masenya Attorneys on 084 383 7747.
Welcome back. Hey, this guy is confusing me today. I don't know whether he's an attorney or he's a comedian or what's happening, but it is a beautiful Sunday morning, even though the weather is a bit under the weather in Josie, but otherwise we're going on and we're doing this thing. Babizabonke, bazobona senzani. We out 2 last questions and say Vala Lentole.
Sure.
Legal implications.
No, as a comedian or as a lawyer?
As a lawyer, man.
Oh, okay. Sure. Legal implications of what? Contract?
Cancel.
Cancel. All right. So let's have this scenario again. You've got a contract. You cancel. First of all, you must know that you're entitled to cancel or not. Assuming that you are cancelling because someone else has messed up in the contract. In other words, he has went against the term of the contract. Once a contract is cancelled, neither of the parties has a duty to perform in terms of that contract. Okay, so a cancelled contract is a dead contract. You're not required to do anything if a contract is cancelled. There is a very thin line. Okay, stay with me now because I think it's a bit serious. There is a thin line between a cancel that has been what's this guy saying? Sorry. There's a thin line.
I'm saying Bugel Lapikaya, pay attention, pay attention.
There's a thin line between a contract that is cancelled in relation to the terms of that contract, right?
Okay.
So there are certain terms and conditions that live beyond the life of a contract. Okay. So earlier I said, if a contract is terminated, you do not have an obligation to perform in terms of that contract. But a thin line is there are instances, mostly exceptional instances, where a particular clause within the contract will still live after the contract is cancelled. And I hope you're not going to ask for example.
Bugel Lapikaya Sekshaplela. If you want more, you know where to find us, or you know where to find it, man. We are all that we're doing, we're conversing, yeah. And when if you want more, you know where to find us.
So, say for example, you sit with a contract, and okay, let's not commercialize it. Let's take it to the simple things. You buy this house. In terms of this house, the seller must do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the seller is taking too long to do what? To give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want the house, you want to take occupation, the bank has approved your loan, or you've got 2 million rand to pay for this house. You want to take ownership of the house. Now that contract naturally ends once you receive the house because you have already paid for it. So that would be a terminated contract, not a cancelled contract, because you would have performed, the seller would have performed in terms of the contract. Let's say you say, no, look, Mr. Seller, because you are taking too long to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Transfer the house in my name, even though you are left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you will know that for as long as you've taken ownership, naturally, that's the end of the matter. But now you've breathed life into those other conditions, which normally would have expired.
Okay.
So you'd be able to sue the seller on the same contract that has lived its life, based on those 1, 2, 3, 4 conditions that the seller failed to meet within the life of the contract.
So it's the after effect.
Well, after party, if you like.
Hey, yeah, no, the today. as we're sitting with my main man.
But don't forget, even in the same scenario, if you happen to reach a litigation stage, some lawyer would say, no, but my lord, this contract has lived its life. We don't know why they're here. Yeah, so they have ratified completion of the contract without performance of those conditions, and they can make an argument, right? Although it's not an argument that is sound in law, but nothing says they can't succeed if their opponent, there's nothing coming from their opponent in defense of that. Because remember, in principle, if everybody has performed in terms of the contract, that contract has reached a completion stage, termination. So then the question would be, why are you suing me on a contract that is terminated? And then the lawyers start to work and their money right there.
Don't talk to me, talk to my lawyer. You're as good as your legal advisor. But this is not legal advice, we're just conversing. And I hope you're learning something there. How do I benefit? The benefits of cancelling the contract?
Does the question really arise if you cancel a contract, do you stand to benefit?
It's all losses.
Remember, you're asking the question in the context of a person cancelling.
Yes, cancelling the contract, yeah.
Well, let's assume he knows what he's doing, that person. For starts.
Okay. And it's been well advised.
No. The people that advise him will advise him through the coming out of the contract. But he's gonna have to make a decision to cancel. And the question is, if he decided to cancel, what does he stand to benefit?
Okay.
Right. My brother, the benefit resides in him. Only him knows. But if you're looking into what the contract provides, if it's a contract that sounds in money, and he had an obligation to pay money in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4 conditions in the contract. Once he's out of the contract, it's not even a legal issue, it's just a factual issue. He will get that benefit. But I think in legal terms, you are relieved of an obligation to perform if you have cancelled the contract. So performance is like a yoke placed upon the person required to perform. So if you don't have you have no idea how deep contracts are binding on people, and how troublesome are contracts on the lives of people. Many a times they have concluded contracts without really understanding what is it that really they signed for. And they sit there asking themselves, how do I come out? Well, the simplest way of putting it, how do I run away from performing in terms of that application, in terms of that contract? So the first benefit, you must give it due weight. It's a relief from an obligation that you either hate, or you don't like, or it's difficult, or it's even hard for you, or not even, if not impossible for you to perform. Take a look at marriage. Take a look at Njita and Jarna, next. Pulling out. Remember, marriage is a contract. So if you thought that question in the context of marriage, you'd go like, the person cancelling, why you do over that? But that's where the benefit lies. Even in commercial contracts, if you cancel, it's because you know. Many a times in marriage scenario, because it's a simple scenario, it's because either you have just married the wrong guy, or married the wrong woman, or marriage is just something that you said to yourself, I think this was
I
not
didn't.
for me. Yeah, So, which means you are no longer required to perform in terms of the marriage contract. Kind of marriage performances, husband, wife.
Sure.
Yeah, so you are relieved of that performance. Let's not overstate the point. But the benefits of cancelling the contract, well, logically, once you cancel it, you don't have it anymore. So
You're free.
yeah.
Sky is the limit.
If you had $1 million to spend in this contract and it's cancelled, you can spend it elsewhere.
So, nice one.
Yeah.
Bugel Lapikaya, this is where we come in and we wrap up the show. But before we say goodbye to you, thank you so much once again for coming through these past 2 Sundays. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully we're gonna have you again. And we're gonna give you a break now in Feb, because it's a month of love. So I hope you've planned something for the million to to enhance the love and the stuff like that. Your last words, and we say goodbye.
You should be telling them how to conclude love contracts for February. You should be advising the status of the love contracts concluded last February, whether they're still alive or they're gone.
Or they can just cancel it now before Valentine.
Or they apply for leave. We don't know.
Come back in March.
Yeah, so we don't know, but we're good. February is a good month. My wife is born in February, so
Is it?
so she gets double dose.
Can I ask the date?
The date? No.
I'm not allowed.
No. She's watching me.
By the way, our filming director as well, the man behind the camera, Scavenger, Mambo Wam, is also celebrating his birthday, Valentine, on the 14th of Feb. Stick with Kabavovo, you'll get kids that are born on the love day.
14th February.
Yes, on the Valentine. May I ask your last words and we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, look. It was quite relaxed and quite informal, much more informal. But I think the essence of what we talked about today is really that once you've made up your mind to cancel or come out of the contract, please read that contract. Look for cancellation or termination clauses. Look for the process or steps that are required in order for you to cancel the contract. If you don't, like I said earlier on, you're gonna get banned in court. And please understand, once there is a breach of contract by somebody else, in other words, once somebody has done wrong in terms of the contract, notify that person. We keep repeating it because it's very important. Many a times we're in court, my brother. Someone has a good, strong case, as we always say, and you went about it the wrong way.
It's not what you do, it's how you do what you do.
So it's the doing, not the subject of doing, that matters. Making sense now?
For sure.
Yeah. So it's okay if you realize you've been done in a contract. Count your losses, come out, pay small damages, call it a day, or negotiate to agree to terminate the contract. Don't just be quiet and die in a corner. If the contract is not for you and you signed it, remember, even if you sit on a table and you're discussing the contract, it is only that which is reduced to writing which will govern the contract, not the other issues which you discussed and agreed with. When you were concluding the contract, unless you want to be arguing that you've got an oral and a written agreement. But if we're talking just about the written agreement, you will not be entitled to say, I didn't know, I didn't understand, oh, I only see it now. This is not what we agreed. It will be too late. So if you want to come out of the contract, make sure you understand. Get somebody to review it for you. Get someone to advise you properly. You might get a mitigated risk out of the contract with the proper legal advice.
There we go. Thank you so much. Next one, my brother. If you do want to get hold or use my brother services or Masanya attorneys services, CNT Law, am I right?
Correct. CNT Law. Charlie November Tango.
CNT Law, and then you're gonna find a click there that says CNT Law Info.
Info at CNT Law.
Yeah, and then you're gonna find a handsome version of this gentleman there, and you know that you are right in the right link, and you can get more information there. Ila sivala khona mbukele siqopha khona lezozo elami lokugcina lithi kuwena tomorrow is the last day of the month. The first month of the year is over, so if you haven't done anything, think again and rethink your life and get moving, because all you know, the year will be over and our against next. And work on your plans, work on your dreams. When you're driving, that big mirror and and there's a review mirror, and bathina abazikangcono abasifundisa ukudrive Brakut at driving school. They said when you're driving, you're not only driving your own car, but you're also driving the car in front of you and at the back. That's why you have these mirrors. So be careful, be good, be kind to others, because you don't know what is going to happen in the next person or what is happening in the life of the person next to you. So be good and be kind, because people are dealing outside, and don't be the cause of someone bumping into you or crashing, something like that. Make sure that you're safe and you're good. Salute. We check you out next week. Salute. We out. Happy Sunday.
If you don't like that contract, you must cancel it. Don't listen to this guy. I tell you, as a lawyer, if you don't like that contract, don't sign it. If you sign it and you don't like it, come out of it. We will help you to come out of it. We're there for you. We love you. We don't want you stuck in a contract that's binding you like a slave, and you're bound there for 5 years, and you don't want to perform in terms of that contract. You made a mistake. You messed up. About ropile. Come to us. We'll help you to come out easily. We'll mitigate your risk. Right?
For sure.
Cool.
Masinya Attorneys Incorporated, a boutique commercial and taxation law firm in Midrand, Johannesburg, South Africa. Strategic lawyers on point with more than 20 years of practice experience. We are professional, capable, and qualified.